everyone, it's Shawl from Shawl Crochet. Welcome to my April 2023 crochet update. Let's talk whips and finished objects. Hi everyone, it's Shawl. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to anybody who's new, and thanks for everybody who continues to watch my monthly crochet updates. A little bit of a milestone happened at the end of March. So my channel, Shawl Crochet, has managed to surpass 2,000 crochet friends. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you all for your support. I started podcasting in January of 2020. Before that, I had done a few little videos here, a few tags, and a couple of montage videos of my makes. But yeah, January 2020 till now is how long it took me to surpass that milestone of 2,000 people. So awesome. I think that's awesome. You guys know I'm just here once a month, and I am here to tell you about the things that I make, the things that I find interesting, little tricks and tips that either I discover or get passed along to me through other friends. But you know, I'm not here to do a quote unquote YouTube channel. I don't do the things YouTube wants you to do to make things happen quickly on here. I'm just here because I can manage it once a month, and I'm super happy that you guys join me on a monthly basis. I love interacting with you. I love this fact we can learn from each other and support each other in this wonderful crochet community. So thank you again. So I was under the weather. I started to not feel great last Thursday. Friday, and then the weekend was complete washout, and I just needed a couple more days. I'm about 80% there, so thanks for your patience. Today is Tuesday, May the 2nd, and hopefully the video will get up today. I'm going to start with some whips. First is what I'm considering kind of a fail. I really want to participate in Donna from Sunshine LeClaire's crochet along she's got going on right now. We're making a bag. The cat is out of the bag and we're making a bag. And I had this leftover ice yarn I really wanted to use up because I thought it would make a really pretty bag. I have a top in this yarn that has gone through a couple iterations. It was initially a tank top, and then I put sleeves on it last year. I have the black willow 100% cotton that I had been working with a little while back, and it needs to be a very closed, tight granny square, and I'm not getting that. So I think I'm just going to revisit the yarn. I had also toyed with the idea of using scraps from the temperature blanket. I've also never done solid grannies before. I wasn't so sure if I wanted to do the round kind with the round polka dot looking thing in the middle for this bag, but if it's going to be completely scrappy, I might just go that way. I know Crystal from Racola's Crochet Corner has some that look really cool using some bright centers and black around the outside. Anyway, so I need to continue to work on that. I have to make 13 squares, so hopefully I can get that done in the month of May. I will link the videos about the make along in the description box. So temperature blanket update, the month of April, I am doing a straight granny stitch temperature blanket for spring from March the 1st till June the 30th. And I was getting very worried that it wasn't going to be big enough. And I'm still a little bit worried, but I'm just going to throw as much white on at the top and the bottom as I need. What I have done though is I started with 2 rows of white in the beginning, and then you get your 4 temperatures per week. So I have the feels like low, the high, and the feels like high. That's the order I'm doing it in, because by the end of the blanket, the feels like high will be the warmest. And then I have a divider row. So this would have been 1 week divider row, and that's March. And then when you see, there is 4 rows in between the weeks. So I was thinking of it as like 2 rows in the beginning and 2 rows at the end sort of idea. And these were my weeks for April. So we have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. Week 5 was an extra this time, so I was just making that up. And you can see how the colors are starting to really come into some of the brighter ones. We had an extremely warm 1 week in the month of April. We were in the mid-20s here. I actually had 26 degrees Celsius as my high, and my feels like high that day. There was no humidity. I've been doing a pretty good job of keeping up with my ends. I keep finding the odd end here and there because there's so many breaks in all the yarn as I put it together myself. These ones aren't done on this side, but I'm doing a pretty good job keeping up with my ends. And let's just see if you can see how big it is so far. Whoa. So you get the idea. And that's about halfway. So if I put it on the very floor, it's just kind of coming up onto my lap. And then this is just touching my lap on the couch and it goes up to my head like that. So we'll see. I counted the other one I made last year. I'll pop up a picture here. It was just to use up a whole bunch of, I love this cotton because I wanted it all in the same project. And it was something like 100 to around 115 rows or so. And my math works out that I'm gonna get around the same amount here, but we'll have to see. And once the temperature part's done, if I feel like I need to put in more yarn, I'll just continue using the yarn I have. But yeah, I love how this is coming together. It's very muted colors, very denim-y tones. I love it. And yeah, it's gonna get brighter. It's still kind of chilly here right now. Today's May 2nd, like I said, and we're still in and around the same as these ones here. So, and the majority of this blanket is made with Caron cotton cakes. And you may have remembered from other videos, I cherry picked the colors out to get them to be similar groups of color. All right, so many of you probably have seen that Jayda has been doing these giant mitered granny squares, and I've never done mitered before. And this is actually the second project first because it's a whip. Back to the yarn I was using for the rainbow blanket. I'll pop up a picture here that I finished earlier this year, and I started with that square there in the double red, 2 strands held together with a 9mm hook. Then I marled the red with the remainder of this lighter blue I had left, and now I'm doing another solid section with the navy blue. And I have worked up a couple of little different designs on this like pixel app I have of what I have in mind for this, but it's just gonna be a lapgan, I think. And I don't think I'm gonna do multiple squares. I might do 2 squares. And kind of figure out what my last part up here is going to be, and then put this other solid red triangle kind of up here and have it be a rectangular blanket, of course. But we'll see. I have lots of the red. There's no more of the blue, and I'm not so sure of the other colors that I have very little of. I don't think I would have enough to get them in. We'll see. And anyway, I have a couple of different visions in my mind. I also don't know if I'm going to trim the whole square all the way around the outside before I add the other. We'll see. Got a couple different things going on in my mind about how this one's going to work, but I'm having fun, and I just had never done mitered before. So very simple, and again, just using up that soft worsted yarn that I still have more of. I knew that I had more than enough to do that rainbow blanket, but only in certain colors, and that's what I was sort of challenged by. So I wanted to do the rainbow project first, so I could apply as many colors as possible to that. And now it's just about kind of using things up, but still making them look cool. And that's what I'm going for on this one. I also have pulled out a bunch of aqua and tealy colors that I hope to make a poncho with from that same soft worsted stash. So did that finish my whips? I think that finished my whips. I only have very tiny whip that I've barely even started, so we'll talk about that next month. And I usually get to this point in the end of the month where I don't have very many whips, and then all of a sudden I want to start making stuff for the next month, and then it goes from there. So finished object number 1. Let's stay with mitered for now. I made a baby blanket. So Jayda was making sort of a lapgan style blanket, and it's really cool how she did it. But right when she started talking about them, the mitered squares, I thought of doing a baby blanket because I have yarn that I want to use for a baby blanket. So I had this one skein of this really sunny yellow. It's turning more gold on the camera for me than it is in person. And I had still some of this pink left. I've made several things with this pink. The pink was labeled Tensile Soft Worsted, but it actually was much more of just a soft, it was much more of a regular worsted. It wasn't as thin as Caron Simply Soft, nor as splitty actually. And then I had a true baby yellow that's an old Mary Maxim yarn, and the white is, I just have some white in my stash that I think is Bernat Super Value. So all of the squares are different, and what I was going for was if I did the dark yellow, I did the light pink and then the light yellow and the dark pink, but I even messed up my own pattern a couple places. And if which doesn't really matter, because no one's gonna know but me and everybody I just told. And if the first square part was actually yellow, it got yellow as I went down, and I kind of just like the idea of pointing towards the center, and that's what I was going for in this one. So I'll let you see them all. I'm pretty sure I used a 6mm hook with this. If it's different, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. And because it's a baby blanket, I did not chain one in between the shell stitches. And also because it's a baby blanket, I joined with a whip stitch. I did not use the cool zigzag join that Jayda has been talking about. It's a lot of sets of 4. So the granny square is 4 rounds, and then you get 4 yellow, 4 pink, 4 yellow, 4 white, and then the pink again, 2 and 2 to get to 4, and then 2 all the way around the square so that when you join it, you're back to 4, and the border rounds are 4. And at the very, very edge of the border, after I was done the 4th row of granny, I just did single, well, if I start one over, I guess. Like if you look at the shell, it's single, double, single, but you end up going single, single, double, single, single, double, like that for the most part you work. But if you look at it as the shell, it's a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet, and this one pops out. It just gives it a tiny little bit of texture. I didn't want anything too lacy because it's a baby blanket, right? And I've been showing you the correct side, so to speak, and then this would be the back. Very little difference when you do the whip stitch. It's very friendly, especially if you're using the same colored yarn. So I think you can see how big it is right there. It's just cute, and I like it a lot. And I love what Jayda did about extending it into making it a rectangular shape. And part of what she was talking about in those lives, I'm going to use as inspiration for the other blanket I'm going to make, the Lapgan style one. But I'm also interested in doing another one that's 4 mitered squares and then making it turn into a rectangle, because I thought that looked really cool too. And just changing which direction you put the squares really gives you different looks each time. So there she is. Any questions, let me know. In the spirit of using up yarn, I had a very little bit of the pink and the yellow left from the blanket. I'm sure there's still 1 or 2 skeins of the pink sticking around because I had a whole bag of it. But this yellow was a Naco yarn, and I'm not so sure. It came in a Mary Maxim grab bag. I'm not so sure if they have any left, so I just made a Lovey. I don't even have the stuffy for the Lovey, but I'm actually planning to get a few stuffies and make a few Loveys through the course of this year. And I thought this one was going to look really cute like that. So it was a yellow hair tie I had, so that's what the inspiration was as well. And 3 rounds of the yellow, 4 of the pink, 3 of the yellow, 4 of the pink. And I just left it like that because that's where the yarn ended. Didn't do any border or anything on this one. And this tutorial is from my friend Z, Zelda NRJ3, and it will be linked in the description box below. Hi Z! Okay, so I'm gonna insert a clip for you here. Hey guys, I am gonna frog this. And I, like to share the good with the bad. This came in a mystery box from Mary Maxim, probably 2020 or 2021. And I even looked this up on yarn substitution, and Naco sateen will not come up, so I don't know. It's very soft, and they call it microacrylic. A lot of the language on the label is not English. It's 100 grams, and there were 2 of this color, 2 of a dusty rose color, and 2 very similar to this mat this is lying on. I was making a wrap, and it's fine. This is with, that's why that's there. This is with a 6.5mm hook, and the stitch definition really isn't doing it any justice. And also, I just can't get my head wrapped around the 3 colors together and liking it. So because of the nature of this yarn being so sort of light, even though they're calling it a 4, I'm just gonna make some very simple neck scarves, or fashion scarves, as I heard Judy say not too long ago. And just use the 2 skeins of each, so 200 grams, and see how far I get. Hopefully a slightly different, but this one is about to go on here and get wound up, because she's going away. And it was super long. It was like 220 stitches lengthwise, because I was going to make a rectangular wrap. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Maybe I'll take a picture of the cake when I'm done winding her up. And as you can see beside me, there's a whole bunch of finished shawls, and I'm going to talk to you first about them as I model them. Here we go. Nice and sunny day today. It is Thursday, April the 6th, and I'm shawling it up. This is a Hooked by Robin pattern that'll be linked in the description box below, but it's a mesh triangle shawl where you get to build your border as you go. I've made it before, so I'm trying it with this Naco satin, and then yeah, we're also going to give it a shot with these Caron crystal cakes. Already liking how it's staying a little bit more true to itself. You know, this is the type of shawl you would probably need to block to get the best version of. I'm gonna try making them in these two different yarns and see what we think. Back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is likely an update for you. Hi everyone. So a little backstory. I made this mesh shawl eons ago. It's an ice yarn cotton, and wow, I don't know, it's been a few years anyway, but I find I go and grab it a lot when I'm going out. And I think it's because it's so drapey and stuff. Just show you how I usually wear it. Like that. Fuss with it or not. But it's so drapey and just easy, right? And it works as a scarf even though I made it shawl size. It was in Ice Yarns, just their regular cotton. I don't know what they called it at the time, or what they call the natural cotton, I think. And so it also just goes like that. And I made a feeble attempt at blocking it when I made it, but I don't do well with the blocking because I'm having to bend over so much. It's really hard on my back. So I all of a sudden realized if you're grabbing it so much, why don't you make more? But first, I had made another one in some really thin size 1 ice yarn. It's got cotton in it. It's very metallic-y, but oops, where's my camera? So it's not very nice feeling yarn, but I had it fairly small just for like dressier outfits and stuff, and actually had worn it recently. And I still had more of the yarn, so I just put another full skein into it. Same exact idea. But this one before was not really big enough to put over my shoulders, and now it is. And it's not meant to be nearly the size of the other one, but you get the idea if you need a little something something. So those were this one is part of what got done in the month of April, another extra skein of size 1 yarn, which Shell doesn't use very much. And then I made 2. So you've already seen a clip of this project being started and frogged. And now 200 grams of that Naco sateen yarn is this. And it's not much bigger than the one I just showed you, but it's much thicker. So it says it's a 4-way acrylic, microacrylic, but it works just fine as is. Not fixing, I can't see myself in the camera while I'm doing this, so I'm not going to take the time to fix my hair and stuff, but you get the idea. And then the other way, this one held its shape fairly well. Again, none of these have been properly blocked. And then just over the shoulder if you need it. And there's one more. This one is made with Caron crystal cakes, and it held itself really well. And it's one full cake of the Caron crystal cakes. And it's awesome. I mean, black on black right now. You can still see it. And there's tons and tons on this one. So I'll spin around for you. Make sure it's down at the back. This one's holding its stitch definition fairly well with a 7mm hook. It'll be nice and warm because it is a thicker yarn. And you can see how pretty. And I can still wear it the other way too. It's a lot of shawl for a neck, but if you're gonna put this one on, it's probably because it's chilly, so you can bundle all up in it if you wish to. Yeah, so more hook details and pattern details to come. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so Tale of Woe first. I had started the plum, we'll call it, yarn, and it looked so much nicer on camera when I had decided to rip it out than it did how it felt and how I was feeling about the project in person. So anyway, I did rip it out. That Nako sateen, which I threw into Yarn Sub, like I said, I don't know, like it's fine. I would never choose to get it. I just find it interesting that I can't find what it's like anywhere. And I can't wind it up. Like, it's so hard to wind it. It was so hard to get that cake, and I just started to trying to wind up the peachy one I have, and it's just, it's so slippery. It's just, I don't know what happens, but when you wind, sometimes the yarn doesn't want to stay where it's supposed to be, and it falls to the top or the bottom, and then that causes problems in the cake. So again, I've asked this before, but if anybody has any tips on good tutorials of using the yarn ball winder, because I'm sure there's other slippery yarns than just that one out there, but I do find that the grabbier the yarn, so cotton works great on the winder, the easier it is to wind them up. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. So I got the inspiration from this one down here, which you saw, and I just realized one day that when I go out, I tend to grab it because it's gonna go on me well and be useful still. I'll grab that shawl at different times of year because it's versatile that way, whether I'm wearing a jacket still and I just want something loosey-goosey, or if I am wearing tank top and it's still warm outside, I still have something for the air conditioning, right? Now, granted, like I said, the black one's too warm for summer, but I'm happy with how it all worked out. And I'm happy to have used another skein of the shinier one. They look very similar there in the background, but the natural cotton is actually a very muted denim purple color. And then the other one is like a true charcoal gray. And it's definitely got a couple of different things going on in it to make it marley looking, but it's a very weird texture, and it's an old sale ice yarn that's long gone. And then we've talked about the plum one, the Nako sateen, and then the other one is the crystal cake. And I did grab one of those because I was able to get a few of these on sale, on clearance. These are, this is the only one. I think Crystal might have sent me this one, and I found the teal and the black on clearance for like $3, and I couldn't just leave them there, even though the majority of the feedback I'd heard on these was people complaining. Anyway, this one's cool because it's got more than one color in it, and there's 2 purples I think I have. So this one also says shawl to me, or poncho. We'll see. I don't know if it's enough. Depends on the stitch I use if it's enough for a poncho. But yeah, so I didn't mind working with it at all. Like I said, it stayed pretty true to itself on the stitch definition for the lacy shawl. It's a hooked by robin pattern. And for the black one, I used a 7mm hook. For the plum colored one, I used a 6mm hook. When I was adding on to my charcoal colored one, I was using a 5.5mm hook. And, you know, it's a mesh pattern, so it's kind of meant to be properly blocked and all of that. And like I said, I just can't do that. So I use it the way I like to use it, and it still works just fine for me. So we'll see what this can turn into. We'll see, because I didn't mind working with it at all. I didn't have any trouble. It doesn't stick to itself as much as Shawl in the Ball, although I went into the project thinking I wasn't going to be able to frog at all, and I did have to pull back here and there just a smidge. So we'll see. The border is built in on this shawl, which I find it so cool that the whole triangle portion has a border. So the only thing you have to kind of think about is the straight edge. And I didn't really want to detract from the pattern at all. So all I started doing was, the pattern is a chain 5, single crochet, chain 5 all along. But when you're first coming out of the beginning, you're doing it across some double crochets to create that border. So when I was doing my border, all I did was reduce that chain in the beginning to a chain 3. I put 3 double crochets, a chain 3, and it just kind of straightens it out with some stitches rather than just the sort of lace or mesh across the top. And I have since seen another pattern that involves mesh and shells, like granny shells type thing. So I'm looking at that one, and then the whip that I have going that's just barely started is a rectangular mesh scarf. So we'll see if I like the stitch definition enough in that one to continue on. I think I started it about a week or so ago, and I haven't seen it or touched it since. So we'll see when I come back to it if I'm still happy with it, because I know the yarn I applied to it, I want to make a wrapped shawl type thing out of. Okay, I think I'm done talking about those. And you saw the clips, so hopefully you're all up to date. Okay, let's talk about one of the big kahunas, which is my kimono vest by Karen at the Stitch Sessions. Hi Karen. We have been talking about this for a while now, and it's done, and I have it here, but here's a clip first. Hello friends. I really should have taken a picture of this before I started to do what I'm doing, but as you can see by these little balls on my leg, I'm frogging. The body was completely done, and I had gotten pretty good on the border for the collar neckline, but I have some thoughts of improving it, and because it's for me and I want to be happier with it than I am right now, I'm frogging it. I also did not need anything extra on the arm, as it didn't do anything for it. So I have that extra bit of yarn, and that's, I think, part of the reason I'm not happy with it, is because I didn't know how to budget the yarn I had left. Anyway, so today is what? Wednesday, April the 12th. Okay, back to regularly scheduled programming, and maybe you can see how my vest ended up. So I will pull this up straight to the camera, and you can see how nicely it turned out in the cotton fair, and also just to show you the trim I used, which I think goes nicely with the actual stitch. I think this is my first raglan, and so I think for having it come together in the middle as much as I might want it to, like, it's fine the way it is, don't get me wrong, but every time you make a wearable, you try to learn how to apply it to your body the best, so that when you make another one, you might have ideas of what to do. I mentioned that I had increased hook sizes twice to have the part that has to go around my hips, because that's the biggest part of my body, be a little bit more loosey-goosey without having to change or increase it all. And then here at the bottom, when I was doing the edging, some of it is in double crochets, some of it's in half double crochets, and some of it's in single crochets going up to create width where I needed it. So it's just a little strategy I used. And I went back to a similar stitch, but now it's going vertically, so it looks different. And I liked how that looks. It also gave me, you know, the opportunity to have it edged everywhere. I did not need any edging around the sleeves, so I just left them. And that's another reason why measuring the back of your neck works perfectly. I think it works perfectly if you are one size. Like if I was to purchase clothes for my body, I'd be purchasing 3 different sizes. So when your world is like that, then measurements are funny, right? And I've said this before with the idea of folding things flat in half and having them hang. They're not going to hang on most people, right? Anyway, the sleeves for me are still a bit wider than I needed for this application, because I'm wearing it more as a vest than as like a beach cover-up or things like that. And then once you're in, you don't really know that, right? So when I had done the little clips of it just as a shrug, I really liked how it looked there. But as it got a little bit bigger, I thought there are things that I can apply to having made this that will make it work better as a sweater idea. Because I like the idea of making this style as a sweater at some point. And you guys know I'm not a pattern person, so the majority of the learning I get is from other people's tutorials and making them, and then applying what I've learned to the next time I make it. So it was a good news story overall. I'm happy with it. The yarn is awesome. It was 5 balls of the Premier Cotton Fair, and the hook size is escaping me again. Probably a 6mm, I think it was. If it's different, it'll be at the bottom of the screen. That's why I always take pictures with the hooks in them, so I can go back and go, oh, it was that hook size. And then the other one thing that doing raglan style doesn't allow for, and I do this a lot, again, because my hips are the largest part of my body, I can't put the slit in the sides, and I often do that for just how things hang. But I think I may make a shrug version of this. I have some Alera, black Alera from Ice Yarns that I've been hoarding. Hoarding in the sense that I only got 1 pack, and I really just should have got 2. It was probably the very last time I ordered from Ice, which would have been 2021 probably. ice yarn has gotten cumulatively more expensive for the length of time since I was introduced to it, which would have been probably late 2018. The shipping has gotten crazy for Canada, and the prices too. So I used to be able to look at something like, let's say ice yarn Saver, which is very similar to like Bernat Premium, Premier Basic, or even like the Craft Smart, the 200 gramish size of acrylic. The price per 200 grams used to be about half of what it is here. But now it's very similar. It's around the $4, $5 mark. And there's a big difference in the prices in US to Canada, as there generally is. And then shipping on top of that, right? So basically for that reason, I've kind of gone away from ice yarn. But I bought the Alera, and I wanted to be able to make something in black that I would love and keep. So this is a contender now. And I'm just gonna make that style that just goes to sort of the midsection for summer. And I hope that that happens. We'll see, because it's gotta be, I basically gotta do it in May, right? If I wanna wear it. So anyway, enough babbling about plans, and there she is. If you have any questions, again, the tutorial is linked in the description box, but I'm happy to chat about it. Okay, I have one more clip. Hey everyone, I'm just popping in here with a little clip. Today is Sunday, April the 23rd, I think. Getting there, almost the end of the month. I decided to use up some mill end yarn I had, and there wasn't a lot of it. It's very strange yarn. It was very not spun yarn. Do I have any of it? Where did that little piece go? Here it is. It was very, see that? Not spun. Colorway is beautiful. And I'm wondering if it was kind of missing a thread of these, because it's not quite a 4-weight. It's not a 3-weight. And anyway, so I made up these little gift bags or keepsake sacks. And there's a couple of things that have come up this month that have really made me feel like shouting out to going back and trying again. I had a really hard time when I first went to do corner to corner. And then a year later, I tried it again and never stopped doing it after. Really hard time when I went to do the feather and fan stitch. And I finally conquered that. Probably about 2 years after I first saw Jayda put that video out. And today's victory is the crab stitch, reverse single crochet on this little bag I'm making here. So you can see the yarn ran out, and I'm just filling it in with some sparkle yarn. And I'm gonna still make a tie for it like the others have. But yay for the crab stitch. It was just easy and went really well. So that gives me hope that maybe one of these times when I go try the Speedy Granny Ruth, it will go better than it did the first time I tried it this year. Just wanted to share one of the small victories. Keep trying. That's my motto. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. And here are the little bags. This was the first one, I think. Shell stitch using the center stitch. And it's got a little tie on the front. And this is the second one. A little bit rounder, same idea. I was just winging these. There goes a little squirrel outside. And the last one, which is the smallest, I did no shells in this. I did all single, half double, and double, and then used some sparkly Mary Maxim yarn for finishing this up to make it tall enough. It's very dense at the top because I use single crochet, and I don't know why I switched. Looks cool though. And I finally used the crab stitch successfully without it feeling like a huge chore and I didn't know what I was doing. It's what keeps me motivated to go back to things. I've had it happen with so many different things that when I first go to try it, it doesn't work out. So I'm hoping that's going to happen with the Speedy Granny Ruth, because that was not working for me when I was trying it. Anyway, basic bottom, Jayda's market bags and even baskets, you can kind of apply how you start the fabric, the learning from different tutorials, right? But for this one, I just chose the number 10 as my straightaway, which means I needed 12 stitches so I could have two sides to work into, two end stitches to work into, which means as a chain, I needed 13 so that I had a turning chain, right? And then the basic principle is that you are putting 3 single crochets into the first stitch and you go down, and then you put 3 and you come back and you start to go in the round until your bottom is how you like it. And then you start working up in the, I tend to work up in the spiral. However, there's something I do a little bit differently. How it's instructed in the video is that you put 3 stitches in the first single crochet. What I do is I put 2 and I go all the way down and I do my 3. And when I get to the other end, it's kind of more obvious that it feels like it's the corner, it's the middle, and it's the corner, and you're coming back. So then I put my last stitch in there, and then I work out of the center stitch. So I put 2 increases in the center stitch and just go all the way around, and 2 in the center down there too. And then for the very last increase row, I leave the center 2 stitches that I had just made as individual stitches, and I put 2 stitches in each of the corners. I like to have my seam, if any, come up the side, and it sort of keeps me in the side, particularly for market bags and things. It'll keep me in the side, and especially some stitches you need seams for, right? You can't always just work in the spiral. So that's how I like to do it. It's very similar. It's just placing your increases in different spaces. And also with tiny little gift bags or keepsake sacks like this, you don't need many increases, so it's not hard to do. But I think the crab stitch turned out okay. And that's using up some yarn that I really wouldn't have had a purpose for, because it couldn't really have gone into any other project than a bag. I don't think, because there wasn't much of it, and it was weird yarn. A couple other littles. Whenever I see a hair tie lying around that's one of the thicker ones I had, unfortunately I got rid of a lot of them because I didn't like them as scrunchies at all. I have been making a few of these little guys, so more for fall, more for when I want to be celebrating my Toronto Blue Jays. Shout out to Lisa and her birds of a feather flock together cowl she's got going on right now. I don't know if I'll be able to participate in that fully or not, but it's an inspiration, Lisa. Some blue for my Toronto Blue Jays. And I had a couple of scrunchies from the crystal cakes, just to use up the yarn. That's all I had left. So nothing left over to go into any kind of a scrap bin or anything. So yay. And the scrunchies, I learned them from Jayda. There's a lot of ways to do scrunchies. I like to make the hair tie style and the bigger style. Oh, and Debbie, if you are watching this video, please know, I'll pop a picture here, that I see this yarn all the time, so I will not forget about the scrunchies, and you'll have them long before Christmas. That is where my velvet yarn hides. And finally, one last thing. I finished, well, almost finished. It's still attached to the yarn because I'm not committed to the border, but I finished my mom's throw for Mother's Day. That is sideways right now, or lengthways. I'll turn it the other way in a sec. And it is almost three cakes of latte cakes, and I think black cherry. I can't remember if it's blackberry or black cherry. I keep saying it wrong. And I'll put the proper at the bottom. And it's 3 of those. And I had to work a little bit on it because one of them was cut up because I had pulled the grayest looking tone out of it to finish a scarf for my mom for Christmas that was in a different latte cake that was all grays. And I just needed a smidge more. And so I just had to kind of separate them out and use the extra where I could use it to still have a little bit of those gray stripes show throughout the blanket. And there will be pictures of this at the end of the video, but I'll give you an idea here. And it's the brick stitch, block stitch, or modern granny stitch, straight, of course. So you're doing a single crochet, chain 2 single crochet on one round, and you're doing 3 double crochets on the other row, not round. And if I put it all the way to the floor, see how much I can disappear. That is as tall as she gets. So it's pretty big. And it has been in the dryer or not, but the feel of this is so nice. I mean, so it is the latte cake held double with this Renat Baby Sport that I still have a little bit left. And I Hubby was going to Michael's on the weekend to look for some magnets, I think. And he wanted to get me something because he knew I was feeling a little bit gloomy from not feeling well. And so I thought I could add on to the blanket with the border, and I just picked the cream colored one. So it's still being held with the silvery light gray, but I'm not committed to the border yet, which is why it's still attached. I don't know if I want more. I don't know if I want to pull it back and start it over with just continuing with the stitches I was using in the blanket. But I'm almost done. And I mean, it's not enough work to bring it back again next time. So what I'll do is I'll just put the actual final picture of the blanket when it's done, maybe even once my mom has it, because the video won't be till the end of May, and this is part of her Mother's Day. I'll just throw that in at the end of the next video so you can see how the border ended up. But this was fun. I worked on it on and off. I had to take a pretty big break on it at one point because it got so warm here. But yeah, I love the feeling of the latte cakes with another yarn held with them. And yeah, that's that one. Any questions? Oh, I forgot to say 10mm hook. 10mm hook. Any questions, let me know. Hubby had a couple extra days off this month, so we went on a little adventure, and I'll put a little clip of some photos and or some video at the end of this video. We went up to Collingwood and Blue Mountain here in Ontario, Canada. It was fun. It was chilly, but we checked out a new place, which was the whole point, and we liked the place we stayed at very much. So there was that. And yeah, we're on to May. So May 2nd. And I got to figure out what, if anything, I need to get done this month before it gets too hot. But I'm looking forward to all the modular projects I have planned for the summer. I have some corner to corner squares planned that I had started way back at the beginning of the year in specific yarn. I have to pick out the rest of the solid colors for that, and that will become a blanket. I have to bring back my mile a minute strips because I have a bunch of those on the go that I'm going to continue to work on throughout the summer. And I was thinking of also doing some granny, probably double-stranded from the Karen Skinny cakes to have that marled look and be able to put a blanket together at the end with those as well. I've never done hexagon squares to maybe put into a blanket. So I don't know. I may try doing some hexagon squares in the summer too to see about that shape for a blanket because I've never tried that before. So lots of plans. Nothing really super specific for May other than maybe that black shrug. I do have a shawl that I started last year that I wanted to bring back. So I'm thinking about continuing on that shawl wrap. It's a wrap. I wanted to make a wrap using mandala out of that. So I have to pull that back out. I do really want to use that yarn for a wrap though, because it's such a nice ombre type colorway. So we'll see. In the meantime, thanks for spending this time with me. I appreciate you being here. We will see what May brings. Have a great day and happy crochet. Bye. Hi guys. So we had a bit of a staycation at the beginning of the week. I kind of call it a staycation whenever we're sort of staying close to home and not going far away or whatever, but we wanted to check out Collingwood Blue Mountain area. There's a particular hotel up there that it has a hotel meets cottage vibe for maybe some future vacationing. We like the idea of being able to stay and have a place where, you know, your room has more than just a bed in it. So we can cook there and stuff like that. So anyway, hubby is currently at a local cidery doing a little shopping, and I'm in the car doing a little crochet. So I have this spiral cowl I'm working on in double crochet, triple stranded with 3 different strands of this boucle-ish. Is that what you still call it? It's not bumpy, it's just very not straight. What do you call those ones? Maybe I'll look it up. If I look it up, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. Anyway, you can see there's 3 strands of that. I'll pull up one of them here. It's an old ice yarn, again from back in the day when I didn't know what I was doing. It's called Sail Plain, 50 grams, 250 meters, 90% acrylic, 10% polyamide. There she is. So I've had this in my car crochet bag for a long time, and I started making something on one of our other vacation trips. It has a zipper at the top, and I also have a couple skeins of this old It's a Wrap Red Heart yarn, and I feel like it's a good idea to leave the really thin yarns in, these are probably both what size 1 yarns, in the car, so that, now I have to check. Yeah, It's a Wrap is definitely a size 1. And if I'm getting 3 strands with a 6.5mm hook, I'm guessing this is a size 1 as well. Anyway, I like having a project to have in the car whenever I just happen to have crochet time that I'm not expecting. And since I think it was up when we were up in Aurelia, I had started this project. So it's the top of the cowl is actually down here because it's a little bit more narrow. But it's not going to be too much bigger than this. It's not going to be a huge cowl. I'll probably just use up the 3 skeins that I have attached to it now. But it was a bag of 800 grams, so pardon the crinkle. But there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that makes sense because I have 3 on the go and there would have been 8, right? So I think I might actually try making something out of this yarn after, because I don't mind how it feels. You know, like a shawl or something, and just let it grow really slowly because it's such a thin yarn. So we'll see. But I just thought I'd say a quick hi. Today is Tuesday, April the 25th, and we can go back to our regularly scheduled, oh, the hook. It's these crochet light hooks. A friend of mine had given me a whole set of them, and I don't really use it for the light part, but they're the perfect hooks to keep in my car crochet bag because they don't bother me. So even when I was going to my mom's and putting the extra border on her blanket for her, I didn't have to bring stuff with me. I just used the hook size I wanted from this set, and I was so surprised how little it bothered me to crochet with when it's not a clover. So this is the most successful backup hooks I currently have that are not clovers for me. Okay, back to our regular scheduled programming.